All right. Good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody. It is really good. So I was looking, I was like, I don't recognize some people, and it was because I've seen you for the first time with your mask on. So really nice to see you all. Masks are optional. It is your choice. Either way, we are totally fine with it. So nice to see everybody. Hello. Okay. So as always, she's not going to hear me, I bet. Hold on. All right. So tonight's class is Shabbat. So we touched on this last week, but I said we're not going to, talk about it too much because we're going to have a whole session devoted to it. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Actually, let me just turn this up for a second. Sorry, everybody. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so tonight we are talking about Shabbat. So we are going to talk for just a few minutes, and then we're actually going to jump right into Chavruta. So Shabbat, part of what we're doing in this class is kind of like also bringing you the idea of Shabbat, but really, inviting you to kind of consider how the traditional observances of Shabbat could fit into your life. And the thing with Shabbat, if you don't observe it, or even if you do observe it, you don't have to observe everything all at once. You can add slowly into your life certain pieces of Shabbat. All right, so there are two versions of the 10 commandments in the Torah. Does anybody know where the first one is? In what book? Exodus. Yes. First one appears in Exodus, also known as Shemot. All right, when we talked about the names, Shemot. And then, so that's when it is originally given as part of the 10 Commandments. And do you know in the second one? Yes, Deuteronomy, correct. Deuteronomy, the book of Devarim. And this is when Moses is really recapping the 40-year history. So a couple interesting facts. Shabbat is the only ritual mitzvah mentioned in the 10 Commandments. And it is the only one that in the when the two times the 10 Commandments are mentioned, that it's a little bit different. And so that's what we're going to be exploring tonight. So if you open up your textbooks, like I said, we're jumping right into some Chavruta work. So if you turn to page 68, I'm going to ask you to sit with somebody who you've never sat with before. You are going to read both versions of the fourth commandment about Shabbat. And what I want you to do is identify the similarities and the differences. And what you're eventually going to fill out, I know this is really messy, I apologize, is the Venn diagram next to it. So if you want to fill it out, there's pens behind you, or if you want to maybe make a smaller version here in case you're not sure it's correct, like myself, So that's the idea. We're going to read this, talk about similarities, differences, fill out the Venn diagram here, and then we're going to do it all together. So let's take 10 to 15 minutes and we'll work on that. So find somebody you've never sat with before. Oh, I love erasable pen. Love erasable pen.
You're right, he left them during the exile, and now he's. Right. Doesn't say here. He doesn't say here. No. Well, doesn't. You're a whole different group. Yes, yes, yes.
Kathy, you can see the board now?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
sure. We'll take like 2 more minutes and then we will dive right in. Oh, got so quiet. Maybe we're finished?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I did my best to draw a Venn diagram. I'm not a good artist, which I told you before. So we'll do our best. All right. So we're going to start with Zahor up here. So as you'll see, the top is, we mentioned that the first place the commandment for Shabbat is mentioned is in Exodus. And in Exodus, we're taught Zahor, which means remember the Shabbat. Down here, Shamor is the one that appears in Deuteronomy. And this is guarding. So this is remember and guard. Okay. So did you guys know before that there were 2 different kind of versions about observing Shabbat? Hey, look how much you learned already. That's great. You can go home now. All good. I'm just kidding. Of what it is in there. Okay. Yeah, Maddie. Yeah, that's exactly right. You got it. Exactly. See, now you can answer the question. Yeah, no, that's exactly to Shamor v'Zachor Shabbat, exactly. So now, so we want to fill in what is just part of in Exodus, what is part of just in Deuteronomy, and what are the aspects of Shabbat that they share. So the way I did this, which is why it's a mess, because I kind of did it a different way initially, is I kind of tried to parallel them. What does it say up here? And what is the parallel down here? What does it say up here? What is the parallel? What does it say up here? What is the parallel? So I'll just open it up. Does anybody want to try? It's okay if you're wrong. It's great if you're right. Doesn't matter if you're right. Doesn't matter if you're wrong. So, okay, so that is interesting. So where I put that though was in the middle because we both shared the concept of resting. So, I mean, obviously, this is obviously can be open to interpretation. Just wondering where other people place the resting part.
And on the bottom, it's really more of what God's telling you. So
Right.
it's kind of
Okay. Great. Funny.
The top part said that.
So wait, hold on. I just want to finish this. The rest piece. Did people put it top, bottom, middle? Middle. All right. So does that feel okay if we put it in the middle? Yeah. Yeah, and you are absolutely correct. And I guess the thing is you could put it here and here because it's different, but the concept of rest is a joined concept. I think that's where I was at least going with it. But yeah, you are correct. Panima? Mhm. So that's what I have. So what I wrote here is that, we Zachor, remember Shabbat, right? In memory of creation, right? In memory of creation. And then the parallel one that I had here was because God liberated you. Okay, yes.
I took a longer view on this. The first they were just like getting to the first time.
Say it one more time.
In Exodus, they were just getting
Correct.
40 years later. After a whole generation.
Yep.
Moses felt compelled to remind them
Yep.
what they-
Correct.
That's the approach I took.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, you know what? I never thought of that one, but that could be, right? This is just the initial mention of it, right? Initial mention of Shabbat. And this is the repeating, right? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Honey.
That's like what Julie and I came up with, that in Exodus, they said that God blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart.
Yes.
And then in Deuteronomy at the end, it said, God has commanded you to make the Sabbath.
Yes,
So
God
it's
bless
more
Shabbat.
It's almost like interactive.
Yeah.
In Deuteronomy, where it's just a statement in Exodus.
Yes. God blessed you, and then God commanded you to make Shabbat. Great. And one of the ones like I included here, but it's about remembering, here it's about guarding.
And also in the middle, they both had no labor, they both had sanctified the day, and they both had 6 days you shall work and 7 you shall rest.
Yes. Sanctification of the day.
No labor.
The labor. And the labor, what does it say about the labor though? Who should do no labor?
Everybody.
Right, your entire household. Exactly, including workers, servants, animals, exactly. Exactly.
You okay, Boots?
Why are they separated from your
What do
animals?
you want to go see Daddy?
Those are donkeys.
Yeah. You go that night.
That might be separate. Better goals. But I think yours becomes four animals. That would be my best understanding of it.
Both said 6 days.
6 days you should do no work. You should work. Yes, thank you. 6. One more time, Maddie? Yes. That is forgotten. Great job, everybody. Great job in Chavrut. Yes.
I was gonna say, just in the Exodus, it just said, you know, you and your sons and daughters and servants, animals, you should all do your work. And Deuteronomy actually said why. It said, so your servants won't have to work.
Yes.
So, yeah, so
Sorry, I'm
we
just-
actually went into more detail about why you should do it, not just don't do it, but here's why.
Great. Great. Great job. Okay. So did everybody get to write that down? Okay. So what is Shem? Yeah. Which 6 days to work? So Bunny asked me that same question before, and I don't know how that was decided. Why Sunday, why Tuesday, I mean, Monday too, I don't know. It has a what? Because the others are Yom Rishon, the first day Yom Sheni, the second day, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, Shabbat. But why does Yom Rishon, why does the first day parallel Sunday, the second day parallel Monday? It's a great question. I don't know what the answer is. That's what I told Bunny. I'm like, don't ask that. I don't know the answer. I'm just kidding. No, but how did we parallel Sunday was Yom Rishon? Like, who made that Sunday was the first day? Maybe Monday could have been the first day of the week and Wednesday would have been the second. And I don't know how that happened. All right. Okay. Mr. Google, Rabbi Google, same person? Rebbitzin Google. All right. So we have these words, Shamor and Zahor. And really the rabbis organized their thoughts on Shabbat around these two principles, right? So Shamor refers to the Shabbat's prohibitions, and Zahor really refers to the rituals and the practices of Shabbat. All right. So both versions of the 10 Commandments, they specify that Shabbat is a day for refraining from work, which we just described. However, work can be an ambiguous term. What does it mean to work? So what does this, and I'm going to put it in quotes, I'll leave this up here, this idea of work. I mean, different things to everybody. So what does it mean to you? Work. What is work? Going to your job, great. Great, clean the house. Running errands. What else is work? Yep, certain occupations. Doing homework, grading homework, right? That's work. Absolutely. What else is work? Great gardening, cooking. Right. And it could be something you want to do or something you don't want to do, right? Can both be seen as work. Creating or destroying. So now that you've said that, so I'm going to get to, so the definition of work, right? Because Jewish tradition has a very specific definition of it. All right, I'll read it a couple times. Well, is everybody finished with this? Because I can erase this. Kathy, are you good with that? Okay. So let me erase this. And let's get to what is this definition of work on Shabbat? What'd you say? What'd you say? Schwitz, which means to sweat. You don't have to sweat on Shabbat. All right. So what is work according to Jewish tradition? Right? So work, the word for work is malacha. Work. Melacha. So
No,
work is something that creates, destroys, or permanently changes the world around us.
is something bad.
Okay. Work, malacha, is something that creates, destroys, and permanently changes the world around us. So what I want to read to you is, yeah. Yes.
You can still sit and think and be creating. How do you separate?
Creating, yes. So that is a great question. Creating in your mind, this is something physical. It physically creates, physically destroys, permanently changes. So that is a really good question. And so this example may kind of help a little bit in that, right? So a framework to thinking about this idea that I put on the board, right? Imagine it's 5 minutes before Shabbat. You finished all your preparation, your table is set, your guests will soon arrive. You step into the yard and notice a stunning rose. The most natural thing would be to clip it and use it to complete your Shabbat table. Now imagine it's 5 minutes after Shabbat has begun, and the same scenario occurs. You're in your garden, waiting for your guests to arrive. You again notice a gorgeous rose, but this time it's different. Shabbat is already here. So you lean down, you inhale the flower's perfume, and then you go back inside. Your table is beautiful enough already, and the rose gets to continue being a rose, not created to be of use for you, but just to be as beautiful as it is. So really creating, destroying something permanent in the world, something physical action. Okay, any thoughts on that? Okay, we are going to turn the page in our textbook. All right, this list is from the Mishnah. It is the 39 types of work that were done to create the tabernacle, the Mishkan, and we are not allowed to engage in this type of work on Shabbat. So what I want you to do is take a look at this list, right? And what I want you to do when you look at it is think, which of these are applicable to modern life? So just take a couple minutes, everybody lives a different type of life, but which of these are really applicable to our modern day life? Just take a couple minutes for silent reading. And that is on page 70 in your books. All right, so thoughts. Which are part of applicable to modern day life? Yes, great. Cutting, what was that? Writing, killing. Well, we hope that was not a daily activity though. Okay, good point. Killing, tearing, carrying, kindling fire, building, extinguishing, combing, great. Weaving. There is a difference, but it is open to interpretation, but there are people who will not take a brush or comb through their hair on Shabbat, but will just do that. No, it's not that. It's that there's a whole category which we're going to get to, which is like combing your hair is okay, but what if I break my hair? And then I broke something and I'm not supposed to break or tear, or what if I do that and there's a knot and then I have to rip the knot or I have to cut the knot or untie the knot? How would you untie a knot in your hair? I don't know, but yes, I mean, so that is kind of the thing. And that's a whole category of things that you wouldn't think are, couldn't be done, like combing, like there's no problem. But it's all these other things that it could lead to, which would lead us to violate the Shabbat, which we're going to talk about. Because they're special categories. It's all things we do. Although cutting could refer to cutting your own hair, tying your own hair. I mean, it could be. Right. Slip on shoes, yes.
I might be remembering. If you feel like I learned that in some of my previous.
So it's interesting because it leads us to this whole other thing, which we're going to get to, which is this category on the bottom, right? So the one you're referring to is on the bottom, right? It's called mukta, right? It's something that technically is not, it has no purpose on Shabbat. Technically, a pencil is not forbidden. It just has no purpose on Shabbat. We don't need to be writing. There's no need to be writing on Shabbat if we're observing Shabbat in the traditional technical sense. So we put those things away because it takes away from the sanctification of the day. But you can't create art. You can't create, you're not supposed to bring anything into the world. So, right. So then there's a difference between, well, so this is where it gets, so this is in the Mishnah, not in the Bible, correct? Yeah. But so much of our religion is, we're not only biblical textual Jews, so much of our religion is the oral Torah, right? How the people lived and what was passed down. But the oral law was, right, but the oral law was considered divinely inspired. So so this is the written word of God, but the oral law was considered to be from God. So it's biblical versus rabbinical. Right, because this is the work they did in the Bible, which we've been reading over the past couple of weeks in synagogue, the work they did. But yes, you are correct. The various forms of work they did are in the Bible, and the Mishnah is where they collected them all and say, these are the things we should not do on Shabbat. Yes. Yes. So there is a lot of things, and this is where the idea comes up. There's things that are forbidden, and you know how we talked about the conservative movement is this idea of like tradition and change, and we kind of, with the changing the times, we kind of try to reread our text and see how can we fit things in. So the idea of music, if you go to an Orthodox synagogue and some conservative synagogues, there is no music except for the cantor's voice. There is no instrumentation because they feel like you're not supposed to, right? And that a lot of synagogues are that way. However, if we really go back and we look, they did have instruments way back on Shabbat, which is how today we then got to that you can use it because they did back there. So part of Judaism is like an evolution, right? Like one point they did instruments, then they got away with instruments. Then we look back and we said, okay, they had them at one point. Granted, they weren't like playing piano at that point. They're probably banging on like a tambourine, right? So then there are some synagogues that will not allow a piano, but they will allow banging on a tambourine because they see that as very different because it's not plugged in, it's not electrical. They'll allow banging on a tambourine, they won't allow guitar, right? So it is really on a continuum. It is very confusing. We could have like a full year on just the concept of whether or not we could allow music in a synagogue. Like really, I mean, it's, clapping is just, it's less about the music. It's just because it's not, clapping, what I understand is seen as more like, you clap if you go to a performance. And the synagogue is not a performance. It's even if the rabbi and the cantor are in the bima, they're just leading us all in the service. We are all praying together. Whereas if we were clapping for them, so you'll notice like in a synagogue, we don't ever clap for the rabbi or the cantor at the end of the service. We'll clap sometimes for a bar mitzvah boy if they do something, or if we bring in a speaker, maybe we would clap. So it's kind of, the idea is like, well, what are you clapping for? But yeah, good point. Right. Correct. As part of the music, correct. Good point. Are you doing the religious school stuff? Oh, Bashamar, yes. Yeah, but we don't live a biblical, we don't do an eye for an eye, right? Like we take that to a different level of forms of repayment, not poking out each other's eyes. But only if you let yourself to that point. Like it's not designed to make us go crazy. It's designed to make us think and, debate, which is the Talmud, which is all about debating the Mishnah. I mean, but there's a lot in there. There's a lot. Correct. And we don't read everything like exactly, right? We don't live in a world, and there was a time where an eye for an eye was the way it functioned, but we took that into like monetary damage. How do we repay somebody monetarily for something instead? Okay, so I want to move down to, so you see the 39 types of work on Shabbat, but the idea, like we really could dissect each one of these. The overall idea is really to focus on is this concept of leaving the world as we found it. And 25 hours of just leaving the world. We're not actively creating, destroying, permanently changing. And there is a whole idea then, like, yes, art is relaxing and maybe painting and all that is relaxing, but there's also a different view. Is Shabbat about relaxing in any form that you feel like it's it? Or is there a more traditional way, right? No, there's no right or wrong. There just is what is traditional and what is the way some people observe. So, but the idea still is to hold to this idea. But that does lead us into these 4 categories on the bottom, right? So the first one on the left side is called shvut, an activity that while possibly permitted by the letter of the law, so maybe art could be possibly permitted, but it's not in the spirit of Shabbat, right? So what also may be permitted, but not in the spirit of Shabbat? Like, doing strenuous exercising, working out. Somebody may love that. That is relaxing. But what Judaism would say is that's great to do on a day off, not on Shabbat, the day off, right? Shabbat is the day of rest. Working out is great to do on a day off. It's relaxing, but that doesn't add to Shabbat, what the spirit of Shabbat is all about. So, I mean, look, as we know, everybody observes Shabbat differently. So, okay, we move down to an eruv, which is a boundary set up. It's a very, very thin string set up to cord off an area so that you could carry on Shabbat, which you're not allowed to really carry out of your, it's called, Dalet Amot, your 4 Amot, which I can't remember what an Amot is thing, but it's your household, right? It basically designates in your household. I can carry in my household, I can carry onto my porch, but I shouldn't be carrying anything over to my neighbor. Again, is it really invalidating Shabbat? No, but they're saying it's not in the spirit of Shabbat. I got to pick it up. I have to schlep it over. I have to give it to you. Is it really enhancing my Shabbat? So yes. So for example, if we don't have an eruv here, but in an area where there's more observant Jews, you do have an eruv around the area. So like Camp Ramah, if you go to Camp Ramah, there is an eruv around it. You don't see it unless you're looking for it. But if you ever were in a place where there was an eruv around the perimeter, there is a very thin string. You kind of would think it probably is like the electrical wires. Did you want to?
Well, that's what I was going to say. In many communities that have very specific Jewish areas, that's how very Orthodox get around taking the child out for a walk.
Correct.
Stroller. You cannot put the child from the bed or the thing into a stroller and take it out the door and push. You have to push it around in your house. So they create in these neighborhoods Arabs, and to me, I find that very hypocritical. And that's called going around the law to.
Totally understand. Yep. I mean, you also cannot carry your child to synagogue, right? If you're like, I'm walking to synagogue, I'm going to carry my child. No, you can't, because it's carrying.
It's well, in Europe, there's some, they have one, I think, I don't know, has where a lot of the very Orthodox Jews live. And my opinion, which is not to start an argument with, is that's the loophole. That's the loophole.
Yes, there are many loopholes in
And
that we
I
create in
just don't
Judaism.
like that.
Absolutely.
You don't criticize it.
Yes. Yes. 1, 2.
But put so many things. Yeah. You identify 39 things, and then you identify 1,000 ways to go around.
That's right, that's what they're-
Well, we need them though, because then we will never stop. That's the whole purpose of Shabbat, is to stop. Because 6 days a week, I'm attached to this for work and personal reasons. On Shabbat, I'm told to put it away, so I put it away. If I wasn't told, I wouldn't do it. That's the reason. Why would I put it away on just one random 7th day of the week? Right, but they're saying there's a different way to celebrate that. There's a different way to be present. Like, again, I wish I was not as attached to my phone, but I'm not as present at things because the phone is there and I have to do this or I have to do that. But when my phone is not there, it doesn't matter what is going on in the rest of the world. I'm just present. When I'm in synagogue, I'm present. When I'm at the Shabbat dinner table, I'm present. I'm sure a lot of us eat dinner and the phone is there and it rings and you stop or you pick it up, right? Or a text or something, because it's just easy to do it. But like on Shabbat, I don't do it. So it's, for me, that works, right? And maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but like, there is something nice about kind of being told, like, just can't do it. Just,
And you do that, so that you don't get. So that you can.
And it allows us time to recharge, right? Why do you go on, well, I'm not gonna say the next thing because we're gonna get to it later. So I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. It's about vacation and what is vacation and Shabbat vacation, which we will get to. Yes.
Is observant Jews who get non-Jews to do the work that they're not supposed to do.
It is, right. Right, that is a loophole, right? Now, with that loophole, I will say there is the way that it's supposed to be used and the way that it has come to be used, right? The idea was that ideally that non-Jewish person that works, let's say just in a synagogue, would know all the things that need to be done, and there would be nobody actually telling that person on Shabbat, because it's weird to be like, I can't push that button, could you? No, the way it's supposed to be constructed, right? And it's, again, the idea behind it is that that person is enabling the Jewish community to have their Shabbat and to celebrate it. So for example, it would be that that person would know, the lights have to be on, the air conditioner has to be on, the microphone has to be on, the urn has to be ready for hot water and all of the things. And there would not be a Jewish person actually communicating any of that on Shabbat. That's the ideal way. And in some places that does happen, but in other places it has become where, it is that thing, oh, could you please do that for me? Which is weird and kind of really makes no sense, right? So I agree with that. Totally with you. We're not a perfect people. We're not. Let's be honest. Yeah, right. That's right.
He speaks the spirit of not turning the light on, but you basically told it to do it.
That's actually a great comparison. Yeah, I love that. Mm. Absolutely, exactly. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Technically, you would be right. I think that type of work was considered a little bit differently. I think that was more your household. It would be weird if you just had like a random non-Jewish person in your household that was there for you to observe Shabbat, or like you needed that person to turn on the lights as opposed to setting a timer. Whereas today we're talking really about the workplace where you have that non-Jewish person that helps you. A servant?
Yeah, that's also saying any servant.
It's an employee. I wouldn't call employee servants, but I guess, but technically according to that, because you probably consider that person who lives in your house more your family, they really should have off, technically, I would think. Right. That is true. Correct. And that is true. That's how we get around it. Boy, it's really dark in here. So again, the loopholes, right? Like, so I don't want to tell you to put on the lights, but I'm going to just say that it's really dark in here. Mm. But it's not really a problem, right? It's not a problem that it's dark. I'm just considering it a problem. It's, do you know, like, but it's not a problem.
I see.
Right.
And you have to find a solution.
Yes, they're very cool Shabbat lamps. They're very cool and very effective. They're very effective. Okay, let's take a break. And then we're actually gonna have a small beverage and some food. Light fare for the evening. All right, so let's take a 5-minute, oh wow, it's 8:25. All right, let's take a 3-minute break. Stretch break, effort break, quick break. Oh yeah, no problem. Remembering to tell him. No. Yeah, I didn't get it either this time, so, okay. Okay. Bouncing down. Okay, all right. Thank you. No problem. Yeah. And it's super interesting. Yeah, I know. All right, I'm gonna move you with us. We're actually moving to a
Okay.
different area.
Did you get kicked out?
Hmm?
I said, did you get kicked out of the room?
No, last night Rabbi Walk had a class on the Book of Esther. And so they got kicked out by Randy because they were like here till like 9:30.
Oh, okay.
And that's when they finish up on the park. So they want everyone to be gone when they finish.
Okay.
I don't even think we're gonna get through everything today. All right. All right, I'm gonna leave you here sitting here, looking at our Shabbat table. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you. They seal it like crazy. Super hard. All right, so. All right, so I am going to invite everyone to join us at our Shabbat table over here. So we'll gather around. Oh. Gathering for the quarantine is this Friday. Okay, I'm gonna sign up. No, I was like, they're Taylor tonight.
Oh, well, do you want me to help you?
Sure, that would be great. All right, so take, the grape juice is here, but we're not gonna drink it yet. All right. So we're all gonna gather around, I don't actually know how many people are here, maybe 22, there's more than. Oh, look at that, I messed up my own table already. All right, so I'm gonna invite everyone to come join us at the Shabbat table. You're fine, you're fine. So this is a typical setup for Shabbat. So we start Shabbat with lighting our 2 candles. What do we light the candles for? What are the 2 things that we started class with? Shamor and Zachor, yes. So we light 2 candles for Shamor and Zachor. So in Judaism, the way it goes is you say a blessing and you do the act, right? However, we just learned that you cannot kindle fire. So I can't say the blessing over Shabbat candles and then kindle the candles. So we do a little trick, I might call it a loophole. We light them, that's why we cover our eyes. So we cover our eyes, we say the blessing, and then when we open them, that's like the act of lighting them because we can no longer light them. And that's the reason. And that's the reason why on a Jewish holiday, you don't need to do this, right? You don't bring it in like, because on the holiday, you can transfer fire. This is a whole other discussion, but you can transfer flame. A lit flame can be transferred to like the holiday candle. So you don't have to technically cover your eyes on a holiday. Yeah. You got it, exactly. No, he's saying before, yeah, you have to light them, right? There's like an 18-minute window, 18 minutes before sunset, but there's like this window in case, 18 minutes before sunset. And then, so right, you light them. So like Shabbat, you may not be having Shabbat dinner till 7 o'clock, but Shabbat may be at 5 o'clock. So you light the candles before Shabbat. So you light the candles, then what we do is we bring in towards ourselves, we bring in the light towards ourselves, cover our eyes, we say the blessing, and then when we open our eyes, the candles are lit. Surprise, magically, you do it. Because you'll notice for Hanukkah, you say the blessing about lighting, and then you light, right? Because that's the way you do it. So I know Rabbi Wolf is going to have people over in like the conversion class to go over like blessings and everything for Shabbat. So we're just going to kind of go through it a little bit quicker than we normally would because I think we're going to run out of time. So we say the blessing over the candles, right? So we would go 1, 2, 3. So if you want to all join me, right? 1, 2, 3. We cover our eyes, and for those of you who know, we can recite it together. Baruch. Shabbat. Open our eyes. Surprise! So that happens, then you wish everybody around you Shabbat Shalom, right? Good Shabbos, however you say it. And then we move to the meal part, right? So what we do is, so kind of, if you notice, For Shabbat, you also want to have, you don't have to have beautiful things, but it's just nice and it helps the atmosphere of Shabbat. So, this is the tablecloth I use at home on Shabbat. I don't use such a fancy tablecloth during the week, for example. I don't use any tablecloth during the week, right? But it makes a difference in a separation, and I know that Shabbat is different and special. So I have a Kiddush cup. So if everybody wants to take a Kiddush cup, if you want grape juice, it is here for you. So take the grape juice, we say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagadol. Yes, there's a whole added blessing. We're just going over the specific blessing, but there's a whole paragraph, correct? So, and if you notice, we said the blessing, then we drank the grape juice. All right. So because the idea of Shabbat is that our table is kind of like the altar in Shabbat. And there's no temple anymore. So this has become our altar. And the house is like our sanctuary. So I didn't bring the cup, but there's a special cup for nitilat yadayim, which is ritually washing your hands, like the Kohanim, like the priest did. So everybody at this point, sometimes people sing when they do it. Everybody goes to the sink. They wash their hands three times. Some people do it 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Say blessing, dry your hand, and then you're not supposed to speak. So you're not supposed to sing, but you can do like a niggun, which is a wordless song. I mean, I have a terrible voice. I'm not going to pretend to do it, but a wordless song is what you would do, like nai-nais or lai-lais, right? And it's nice and festive. Everybody does it until the last person has washed. Then you come to the table and you go, it's like a surprise every week. What's under there? Oh, it's cold. It's exciting. I don't know why. It's exciting, not just for kids, adults too. I mean, you know it's going to be there, but so there are two. Anybody know why there's two? Yes, because you were not allowed to gather the manna because that was work. So we had to gather the double portion on Fridays. So gather the two portions, take them together, you recite the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Some people cut, some people rip. Right, so I will rip them. I just purified my hands, so you all know. I rip some challah, and then there are two traditions about what you put on the challah. Anybody know? Why do I put salt? That's Pesach. That's the salt water on Pesach. Salt water on Pesach. This is because this is the sacrifice, and sacrifices had to be salted. So it goes back to the time of the temple. All right. And then there is a custom also to do honey. And that usually people who are married or if they're celebrating something sweet, they'll do honey for a year. The Sephardi, we talked about Sephardic Jews. Sephardic custom is to throw the challah at everybody. I'm not going to do that. But if you would like to come, this is salt. I don't want to assume that everybody likes salt, but there's plenty of challah. So if you all want to take a piece of challah, I'm happy to break more. Don't be shy. Come eat. Everybody loves challah. We all know it. Come on. The portion is separate. The challah, so you can use a knife because it's weird. You shouldn't be able to, but you are allowed to. I don't know why. But this way, some people won't do this. It's ripping. And I'm ripping and putting it in another state. But you are allowed to cut food. You're allowed to cut food. You can't cut paper. But food. Yes. You are correct. Totally true. This is not homemade. I'm a terrible homemade baker. This is from
PJ's.
It's PJ's. I don't remember the brand. It's from New York.
PJ's has the best challah
In Charlotte.
Yes. Just BJ's.
I would love. I know people who make challah. It is so good. I am so bad at challah. I liked it 5 times. And I was like, why am I doing that? This is so good. Mine never comes out good. I'm like wasting ingredients. So there is plenty challah. So please take challah. And then we'll go back and we're going to talk a little bit more about what else occurs during Shabbat. All right. We're on the move, Kathy.
Okay. I never heard about the salt. I've never heard that. That's cool.
A lot of people, it's, you know, and there's like a lot of rituals in Judaism we like do, and like people don't even know why we do that. We just do them. Which is
I've
so, which is
seen
fine.
like the sea salt sprinkled on top of the challah when it's baked, but I've never heard of, you know, sprinkling it on. So that's cool.
All right, so. Trying to think what we want to do with our time remaining. All right, so let's go through what so you know what, actually, we're going to take a step back for a minute. Little bit out of order. But I do want to, because I don't want to end class without talking about Zachor. So what does Zachor mean? We talked about? Yes, remember. So we talked a little bit about, you know, what makes Shabbat for different people. So the question is, you know how we brainstormed what work is? So what is vacation for you, right? Because vacation is supposed to be when we take a total break from our regular work obligations. So what do you do that signifies for you that you're on vacation? What does that mean for you? Yes. Ah, I love it. Me too. The beach. The beach. Sleeping in. Great. Relaxing with family. Disconnecting. Going out to eat, not cooking. So Shabbat is supposed to be that vacation from doing everything. But instead of like having to wait, you know, to do it once a year, we get a weekly vacation. Now it is different than a vacation of like going to the beach or things of that nature, but that is the idea, that it is supposed to be this idea, right? Vacation helps you recharge, bring you back, you're ready, refreshed, renewed to reconnect with the world. That's why we take vacations, right? And that is what Shabbat is inherently supposed to be, right? Break for 25 hours from everything we do, and then we come back refreshed, renewed. So over there, we talked about how we get into Shabbat. Here, we're going to go over here and talk about how we get out of Shabbat. So Kathy, we're on the move again.
Okay.
All right. So if you want to gather around here, and we have a little project also. All right. There we go. Okay. So this is called Havdalah. This is how we get out of Shabbat. So we have a candle. We light our candle. I'm actually not going to light it, but we light our Havdalah candle. We also. Why is it a braided candle? Well, so it is supposed to stand out and be different, right, than any other candle. And we are bringing also a number of wicks together. We're bringing them all together. So have you seen a Shabbat candle? Let's light one. So there are also many different forms of Shabbat candles. So way I would normally do this at home, which also makes it special, is what? Havdalah candle is, the lights are out and it's dark, which makes it all nice. And then hold that. Right, so that is one. There's another one looks like, this may not work. It is lit. It is really beautiful. And it's just kind of, a lot of people who don't observe a lot of rituals really like the ritual of Shabbat. There's like an easy ritual to do at home, right? It doesn't take very much. And there's like a lot of singing and it's very happy. So we sing a lot before we do it. We say a blessing. So here's my grape juice wine. Say a blessing over the wine. We use wine because wine, makes us glad, makes us happy. Shabbat is a time that we want to be happy going into Shabbat and getting out of Shabbat. So we take a sip of the wine. Then what we do is we say a blessing about, it's a blessing over fragrance. And the idea is then you smell cloves. I'm going to pass this around so you can smell that. And the idea is you are taking one more whiff of Shabbat. This also has it in here. You don't have to open it. You can just smell through the, yeah. So the idea is that, take the lid off. Right? One last smell fragrance of Shabbat. So hold on to that 25 hours. So to that. Oh, no, you know what? I should invite it because I want to say one more thing. Sorry. Hold on. Oh, do you want me to hold that? So you can
I still make carpet.
Don't tell Karen. So you get one more fragrance of Shabbat. Then we have a blessing over the candle, and just like we're getting one more whiff of Shabbat, so when you say the blessing, you hold your hands up, you look front to back, and you're looking through your fingers because you're getting one last glimpse of Shabbat, right? You're kind of savoring onto Shabbat. You don't want to let it go yet. So do that, and then at the end, so this would normally have grape juice wine in it, and one of the great things is that you don't blow it out, right? You put it out, and there is an amazing that happens, this crackle that signifies the end, and then you sing, Shavua Tov, wishing everybody a happy week. We sing about the prophet Elijah. It's a really beautiful ceremony. If you've never done it, you will have a chance to experience it with Rabbi Wolf. It's a really beautiful, easy ritual. But what I wanted to is I thought we would all make the samim bags, which are spice bags. So if everybody wants to come over here, and you can take a bag, different colors, and wherever the cloves can make it back here. And then you can just put a handful of cloves in here, tie it up, and then you can have this at your house. Barbara, can you bring the cloves back? And then there's one other bottle of cloves somewhere. Oh, you have a clove, great. So if you just want to come forward and take, and it's literally like, hold on, let's open the whole thing. And it's just like a handful. Take a bag, put it in. You can put more if you want. Just hold it shut, and then you have your own spice bag. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes if you want to come do that. Oh, like we did during the pandemic? Oh, great question. It was nice to be with people to end Shabbat with. It was nice. Right. Yep. I think my dog also got in at one time. She's always in the background. The dog is always in the background. So if you want to make a timing bag, a spice bag to take home. Yes, I noticed. I'm aware. Yep, well aware. Hi. And part of the experience of Shabbat also is, just how we have a special ceremony to get into this special time of Shabbat. It is separating, the holy from the ordinary, holy of Shabbat from the ordinary of our, regular week. Yeah. Shabbat is 25 hours. The day is 24, and why it's 25, I'm not sure. But we also fast on Yom Kippur for 25 hours. Make sure you don't shortchange it in case you stepped into a different time zone. Host. But the question is, why would we need it if we say it's one day? Why would we need it? Like, it should be in theory sundown to sundown, but we don't. We do it till the 3 stars come out. So that is the way, just so you know, as Patty just said, if you go outside and when you see 3 stars, that says Shabbat is over. So you don't even need an actual watch. You just go out and see the 3 stars, Shabbat is over. Can't always see. It depends on the sky. I was going to say, yeah, it depends. Correct. So in those cases, you do need the watch. All right. In the little time we have left, what I just wanted to kind of briefly go over, not really in depth, but just an overview of what do you do on Shabbat? We know there's a lot you cannot do, but there's also a lot you can do. So if you turn in your books to page 72, right? So some of this we actually already talked about. The order of Shabbat day, right? So we talked about lighting candles, first thing we do. Kabbalat Shabbat is the service Friday night. You come to synagogue, it's a beautiful service. There's a lot of singing involved, very participatory. A lot of people really like Kabbalat Shabbat. Then you would, some people obviously eat before they come to services, but assuming according to this, you go home and eat. Then we have our Shabbat table, which we went over. Re'im ha'ahuvim is beloved companions. So that is, again, talking about that you're spending time with your family, with your loved ones. And it's, special time for intimacy and just to be with loved ones. The next day you get up, you go to services, Shabbat morning services. Then you have Shabbat day, which you can spend however you want, a lazy Shabbat day. You can hang out outside, you can go and eat lunch, spend time with friends, family, singing, relaxing, just kind of enjoying whoever is around you. Reading a good book. Sudat Shlishit is the 3rd meal in the evening. And because we don't consider breakfast a meal on Shabbat. You're technically, a meal is defined by breaking bread. So there are a lot of people that will not, on Shabbat, will not have bread for breakfast because there are 3 meals. It is Friday night, Shabbat lunch, and Sudat Shlishit. Or the 3 times you break bread. So that's Sudat Shlishit. It's also a meal that has a lot of singing attached to it. It's like a really beautiful thing on college campuses where there's a lot of Jewish people. You have beautiful Sudat Shlishit, a lot of singing, and that usually leads right into Havdalah, which we talked about. Okay, so that was a lot. But in the book, it's really interesting. So I gave you a lot. But if you notice, I started out by saying Shabbat doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. It can be building blocks. You can do certain rituals. You can then add on certain rituals. So it doesn't seem like that oppressive, it's an all or nothing. I can't do anything versus all these things I used to do. So what I love actually is that in this book, there is on page 76, it's called a Shabbat manifesto. And this is something for you to do at home, right? And to really look at it and think, so I'll just read for you, right? The Shabbat Manifesto was developed by a group of Jewish thinkers with a deep feeling that life had been taken over by technology and the grind of work. They envisioned people of all denominations taking a time out every week to slow down, reclaim time, and reconnect with friends, family, their communities, and themselves. The manifesto proposes 10 principles that can serve as an antidote to our increasingly fast-paced way of living. So the idea is really to take a look at this, right, and to think about which of these elements, right, can you do to incorporate into your lives to make the Shabbat day more meaningful, right? Again, there's many options, right? Avoid technology, connect with loved ones, nurture your health, get outside, avoid commerce, light candles, drink wine, eat bread, find silence, give back. So that's really something, to take a look at and to think, as you're taking this class and on this journey, what will Shabbat look like for you? What does it look like now? What would you like it to look like one day? What might it look like in a month, 5 months, a year? Just something to keep thinking. And I do want to encourage everybody to, in the online part, there is a video called Cathedral in Time. I encourage everyone to take a look at that. It's a really good video. So that's just something, again, to read about. And then I'll just leave a few minutes if there are any lingering questions or thoughts. I'll leave you with one question if you want to answer, is the idea of ordinary versus holy time. Has it taken on a different meaning for you from an hour and a half ago at the beginning of our class till now? Or are you thinking about ordinary and holy time differently? Something to think about. I'm just going to leave you with that. Did you want to answer?
I was gonna say, it's so hard in our modern world.
Absolutely.
For a while, my husband and I decided, okay, three Saturdays, that was gonna be our Shabbat. No TV, no computers. Stay with my son. And it lasted about 2 weeks. Yeah, it's just hard for them. You get called in to do things, and you gotta go shopping, you gotta go. It's really hard. I don't know how people do it.
It is. It absolutely is. 100% agree. It is hard. And I think it's part of it is also, I think it's hard sometimes when we take one thing just away. We kind of do everything else we do, but we take one thing away. So it seems like more is absent. And so part of it, I think, is creating more of a Shabbat atmosphere around something to fill in for the void of what you're not doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's hard. It's not easy. Yeah, super easy. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot to take on just overnight to do all of it, right? It is a process. Yes. Correct. And how do you fit it all in, right? Absolutely. But that is kind of,
I love the idea of Shabbat.
yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy, right? It's not easy. I think it's well worth it if you're able to do it, but it's not an easy thing. It is because you really are like cutting off like this whole day that the rest of the world is not cutting off, right? And you're just kind of saying, sorry, I'm carving out a day for myself, which is a wonderful thing, but hard. Absolutely. The work thing plays into it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Correct. They probably thought that was a lot, and what we thought, I'm like, oh, that would be so nice and gentle and easy. Yeah. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. April 2nd, Kiddush is returning. So just so you know, Kiddush is returning April 2nd. So it's coming back. But it is really nice. You spend the time in services, and then it's really nice to just sit down with people for that relaxing Shabbat lunch. Relaxing with people, talking to people you may never have spoken to before, meet new people, absolutely.
First of all, they may be Jewish, but they're still German. When they say 9 o'clock service, but they don't mean 9 o'clock. Never feel like it. They mean 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the security issue,
Right.
anyway, I also told him, I said, you wouldn't like being a rabbi in Germany because the rabbi. 3 years in Stuttgart, I heard the rabbi speak one time.
On right before Passover?
No.
Oh.
The rabbi doesn't speak. And
Nobody speaks at all?
the rabbi said,
That's a good deal. Rabbi Wolf might like that. Yeah. Yes, true. And there are synagogues in America where there is a rabbi, but there's no cantor because the congregation is very well knowledgeable and
anyway, that has to be long term.
yeah. Yeah, around the world, it's it's different things. I'll be honest with you, and then when I was in Israel in 11th grade on a trip from high school, and you have to spend one Shabbat a month with like a host family, and if you have family, that's your host family. Really Orthodox, like ultra Orthodox. He was like the Rosh Yeshiva, the head of the yeshiva. Like it was kind of like the thing where like I went and I'm like, am I Jewish enough? Like, I felt like I don't know what to do. But it was that kind of thing where they got up super early and we had a neat lunch at 10 a.m. because they finished services like that. There's not a lot of singing. And then you ate lunch at 10. And I was no, thank you, but okay, great. Like, let's have meat at 10 a.m. So, all right, everybody, have a great evening. Thank you all so much for a wonderful discussion. Have a great evening, and I will see you. Oh, next week, no class. It is forum. Please come, get a great costume, come dressed up. All the clergy, Karen, we already have our awesome costumes ready. You're gonna love them. If you do want to join us next week and come to dinner and the rest of the evening, you need to make your reservation for dinner by Friday at noon. So, yes, please, totally come in a costume. Oh, absolutely. Bye, Kathy. Good night. A lot of people come in costume. Yeah.